closing arguments in the trial of the three men accused of killing Ahmaud Arbery have actually wrapped up today. So now, one of the arguments made by Gregory McMichaels' defense attorneys literally received an audible gasp from the courtroom after her description of the 25-year-old black man who was murdered. Now, there's actually a couple of different defense lawyers that are going to give their testimony. One is on video. We'll get to that one. But first, we're going to go to the worst one, and this is Laura Hogue. So now, Laura Hogue is the defense attorney, as I said, for the McMichaels, and she sought to paint Arbery as a quote-unquote recurring nighttime intruder. So now, what is she referring to? Oh, he's a recurring nighttime intruder. Well, apparently he checked out that house that's under construction several times. Oh no, what a crime. What a horrible crime. Certainly worthy of the death penalty, oh yes. Well, at least that's what you think if you're the McMichaels. But here's what she said. Here's her actual quote. Turning Ahmaud Arbery into a victim after the choices that he made does not reflect the reality of what brought Ahmaud Arbery to Satilla Shores in his khaki shorts with no socks to cover his long, dirty toenails. So just think about that. Let that sit. Let that kind of marinate in your brain for a second here. Okay, what they're trying to say, what she is saying, what kind of mental image she is trying to have you paint of Ahmaud Arbery. Khaki shorts, no socks, and long, dirty toenails. Oh God. Some pretty evocative language here. Okay. What do his toenails have to do with anything? Absolutely nothing. What other choices that he made? And again, that's the whole point of the defense here, is to say, well, it's Arbery's fault. He had it coming. He had it coming. Hogue suggested to the jury that Arbery would still be alive had he not run away from the McMichaels and William Roddy Bryan. You know, the two men with guns and two trucks. Well, here's the thing. What right do they have to run up on a guy jogging in the neighborhood and point guns at him? Oh, but you understand, Georgia has this law, right, that all the way, goes back to slavery and is essentially, to capture escaped slaves, which no longer is on the books. Yeah, but this, this law allows people to go and do a citizen's arrest. That's only if you have or see someone in the commission of a crime. So, was Ahmaud Arbery in the middle of a crime? No. No, they couldn't prove that at all. He was in the middle of jogging. But she continued to blame Arbery, saying that there were two sets of decision makers on February 23rd. It is not just the McMichaels' decisions that led to this tragedy. No one but Ahmaud Arbery made the decision to either reach for, he was reaching, oh, he's got something in his waistband, better shoot him. Or certainly gave the very real impression that he was reaching for a handgun, of course. And no one but Ahmaud Arbery made the decision not to stop when Travis's truck rolled up beside him, Hogue told the jurors. Jesus Christ. So, I mean, immediate victim blaming. Let me get this straight, okay? So let me just kind of lay this out. He's making the case that McMichaels, who chased a man for over 5 minutes with guns and trucks, because they assumed that he was up to no good, even without actually seeing him be up to no good, and that it's Arbery who possibly made a move, putting his hand in his pocket or reaching for the waistband. How often have you heard that one? To defend himself, that it's the McMichaels who were actually defending themselves against him, that they are the ones in danger. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Oh, but they do go on, by the way. Because the defense's strategy here is simply to play on white fear. In fact, Hogue said this: Greg McMichaels' driveway decision wasn't the only decision that set this tragedy in motion. Ahmaud Arbery was not an innocent victim plundering through Larry English's house. That's the house that's been under construction at that area. Now, here's the thing, though. Was anything stolen? No. Especially not on that day. And even if there had been, was that worthy of a death sentence? Was that worth shooting a man 3 times with a shotgun at close range to death? Is that worth it? No. And by the way, if you call law enforcement if you have evidence of a crime. That's what you're supposed to do. But no, they decided to take the law into their own hands, to play vigilante. And this is what happened. Now, there's more here, and this is a different lawyer. This is a defense attorney, Jason Sheffield, who is then going to point out how this used to be a wonderful community before those people moved in or near.
Heard about Satilla Shores from several witnesses who came to talk to you about what they were experiencing in this once idyllic neighborhood. A neighborhood that was once a place where elderly would walk at night, kids would play after dark. But over time, how that began to lessen. And Travis began to notice it, among others, about how things in the neighborhood started to change. This neighborhood was being covered in suspicious persons, in extra watches, in neighborhood patrols, in concerned citizens. It was everywhere. It was on Facebook. An account created so neighbors could help each other. And the types of things that these neighbors would talk about to each other was about the crime that was being committed to them, to their neighbors, crime that they had seen happening across the street from them, crime that some was reported but not all. You heard a lot of people talk about, I didn't call the police because what's the point? Crime is over and the people are gone. But they told you that what was happening in their neighborhood scared them. It caused them concern. It was unsettling to imagine people lurking and sneaking around your property at night so that your cameras are going off, your doorbell camera's going off. That's frightening.
Wow. He also said that the neighbors were very scared before Arbery was killed by McMichael. Very, very scared, very frightening. A black man. And there it is, by the way. Early on in that video, he said this was an idyllic neighborhood. It used to be. You know what that's code for? White. That's what it was. Oh, first it was good, and then it changed. We ended up having more black people sneaking around and lurking in the dark. I mean, they had to be black. I mean, they're sneaking around in the dark. That's what they do, right? Look at Arbery, a scary black man, long, dirty toenails. He's looking into unfinished houses. He must be up to something, right? The McMichaels, they had no choice. They saw posts on Facebook from their neighbors, and they decided to do something. Oh, yes, and Arbery, who could blame the McMichaels for thinking that Arbery was a dangerous criminal? And by the way, he reached into his pocket. Do you remember the waistband? He could have had a gun. He might have had a gun. You don't know if he had a gun. Maybe if he had a gun, he could have killed all 3 of those people instantly. These 3 armed men who had guns pointed at him. But no, super black man strength and speed and agility. They would have had no shot. No choice. No chance. They had to do it. That's their entire defense. There were so many racist tropes about black men in this defense. It's so obvious. Again, let me point them out. Being scary, for one, right? because that's the trope. Like, oh, black men, they're big and scary, right? Oh, they're physically imposing. They're also dirty. They're also inherently criminal and sneaky, and they're shady, and and if you aren't careful, they will use their superhuman strength and speed, and they'll kill you all. And also in this case, by the way, the biggest crime of all is being a black man who dared to jog in a white neighborhood. And that's what it is. Their entire defense boils down to, this guy was asking for it. He was just asking for it. Ahmaud Arbery, asking for it. Shouldn't have been there. Shouldn't have been there. Should have just followed directions of the rando white guys chasing you with guns. Oh, you were running? Why were you running? Oh, you must have been guilty. It's such a disgustingly apparent attempt at, or transparent attempt at playing the majority white jury, playing on their fears. Remember, the jury has 11 white people and 1 black person. 1. Now, that doesn't mean the jury's racist. That doesn't mean the jury's going to come down on the side of white people. No, no, no. What we're saying one of the big issues is there's not a lot of representation. And it would have been nice in a case like this, especially because Arbery is not there to defend himself. So I am kind of concerned that this play would actually work and be effective. Because understand that while people, I just said I don't believe that the jury is, I don't know who they are, but I don't believe that they're racist. I don't believe most people are racist, but understand that there are things like implicit bias. And that's what they're trying to plan. Implicit bias. They're trying to make you think, oh, now wait a minute, if I were in that situation, I might be scared too. Fear is the mind killer. Always has been. And if all the defense has to do is present Arbery as somebody who's scary enough, physically imposing enough, despite being unarmed, outnumbered, and trying to flee the situation, if they can still try to convince the jury to not listen to the evidence, to not listen to, the facts, but to listen to their gut, to listen to the fear that they might have, because maybe they don't. I don't know who these jurors are, but maybe they don't know a lot of black people. And they play on this fear and this implicit bias, bias that people have when they don't know other people. I hope the jury does not go in that direction. I hope the jury goes in the direction of making sure that they understand that Arbery was a victim. He was a victim in all of this. Unjustly chased, lynched, murdered. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.